In the underground parking lot of a shopping mall, just as we were about to get in the car, my daughter suddenly shouted from the passenger seat, "Mom, turn off your phone now." I quickly powered it off, and she whispered with a trembling voice, "Mom, look over there." I followed her eyes, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Eleanor Harris leaned her elbows on the kitchen island, watching her husband James sip his morning coffee. Although an hour and a half had passed since the alarm clock rang, she still couldn't organize today's schedule in her head. "Honey, don't make any plans for Thomas this weekend," James said as he set down his coffee cup. "He's going through a really difficult time." Eleanor let out a small sigh. Her husband's brother, Thomas, had divorced 3 months ago and had been gradually inserting himself into their lives ever since. Visits that used to happen once a week had somehow increased 2-3 times weekly. "All right, but I promised Lily I'd take her shopping on Saturday. She mentioned needing a new dress," Eleanor said. "Can't that wait until Sunday?" James frowned. "Thomas really needs someone's support right now." Eleanor was about to respond when she heard footsteps coming down the stairs. Their 16-year-old daughter Lily appeared, her long blonde hair casually pulled back in a ponytail. "Good morning," Lily said as she opened the refrigerator. "I'll be doing homework at the library after school today, so I'll be home late." Eleanor studied her daughter's face. Lately, she seemed quieter than before. Was this just typical teenage changes, or was there some other issue? "What time will you be home?" "I'll be home by 6, Lily answered, while pouring a glass of orange juice. "Don't worry." James was already heading toward the front door. As a construction site supervisor, he was always the first to arrive at the site and the last to leave. "I might be late tonight," he called over his shoulder. "We're starting a new project." As the door closed, silence filled the kitchen. Just mother and daughter now. Eleanor loved these moments. "So, are we still going shopping on Saturday?" Eleanor asked casually. Lily's face brightened a little. "Of course, I already know what I want to buy." Eleanor smiled. Amid her busy professional and personal life, shopping with her daughter had become her joy. As a manager at a large insurance company, she was constantly struggling with deadlines, client demands, and subordinate issues. But Saturdays were different. Saturdays belonged to her and Lily. "Dad wants to invite Uncle Thomas over on Saturday, but I intend to keep our plans," Eleanor told her daughter. "Our plans come first." A shadow seemed to cross Lily's face for a moment. "Uncle Thomas is coming again. Dad's worried about him, but don't worry, we're still going shopping." Lily nodded but looked like she wanted to say something. In the end, she said nothing and shouldered her backpack. "I need to go. I'll be late." Eleanor also began preparing quickly. She had an important presentation at her office today. She worked downtown, a 30-minute drive from their quiet suburban neighborhood outside Boston. Looking out the window at the spacious lawn and well-maintained garden, she sometimes realized how blessed this life was. In the evening, when Eleanor returned from work, James was already in the kitchen. He seemed to have come home unusually early, and sitting next to him was Thomas. "Hey, Eleanor," Thomas smiled weakly. "Just stopped by." "I invited Thomas to dinner," James explained. "Got a call that our project start was delayed until Monday, so I could come home early." Eleanor managed a tired smile as she took off her jacket. "Well, that's nice. Lily's not home yet. She said she'd be at the library, remember?" James took a beer from the refrigerator while preparing dinner. Thomas began talking about his divorce and losing his job. "She said she didn't love me anymore." 12 years of marriage ended with just those words. Eleanor listened silently, though her feelings were mixed. Thomas's story was the same every time, an unfair divorce tale from his perspective. She thought to herself that there must be another side to it. Lily arrived home just as they were about to sit down at the table. "Uncle Thomas?" Lily appeared at the entrance looking surprised. "I didn't know you were coming." "It was a last-minute decision," James answered. "Come on, wash your hands. Dinner's ready." At the dinner table, Thomas began talking about his misfortunes again. Lily remained mostly silent, focusing on her food. She seemed to be avoiding conversation with her uncle. "How's school, Lily?" Thomas asked. "Fine," Lily answered briefly, then immediately stood up with her plate. "I have a lot of homework. I'll do it in my room." Listening to her footsteps going up the stairs, Eleanor frowned. Lily's attitude was a bit rude, but that's typical for teenage girls. She'd probably be back to normal tomorrow. "Don't mind her," Eleanor said to Thomas. "All teenage girls are like that." After dinner, James called Eleanor to the kitchen and said quietly, Could you be a little more supportive of Thomas? He's going through a really tough time. Eleanor looked at her husband's worried face and nodded. I understand, but I still plan to keep my Saturday promise with Lily. Of course. James placed his hand on her shoulder. Your shopping day with her is sacred. Eleanor felt reassured by his words, but somewhere deep inside, she had a feeling that something was about to change. That night, she peeked into Lily's room. Her daughter was already asleep, but there seemed to be a shadow of worry on her face. Several weeks passed, and the hints of autumn were growing stronger. While preparing for the morning, Eleanor knocked on Lily's bedroom door. Lily, time to get up. With no response, she knocked again. Finally, a faint okay was heard. Eleanor frowned. Her daughter had been acting strange lately. She used to be energetic in the mornings, but for the past 2 weeks, she seemed to struggle with getting up. When Lily came down to the kitchen, she had dark shadows under her eyes. She reached for toast but didn't take a bite, just stared at it blankly. Are you feeling sick? Eleanor asked worriedly. I'm fine, Lily answered briefly, checking her smartphone screen. Her expression seemed to tense for a moment. Did something happen? Nothing. Lily put her phone in her pocket and cleared away the toast. I've got PE class today, so I need to go early. Eleanor wanted to object, but Lily had already shouldered her backpack and was heading for the door. As the door closed, she was left alone in the quiet morning kitchen. During work, Eleanor thought about her daughter several times. Last week, she received a call from Lily's homeroom teacher. Lily's grades are starting to fall. I'm particularly concerned about math and science. She told her husband about this, but James simply said, as usual, it's just a temporary teenage phase. That night, when Eleanor returned from work, Thomas was in the living room. He had been visiting their house almost every day lately. Hey, Eleanor, Thomas smiled. James is not home yet. I borrowed his key. Eleanor forced a smile in return. Where's Lily? She hasn't come back yet, Thomas answered while changing the TV channel. Could you bring me something to drink? I'd love a beer. Despite feeling irritated inside, Eleanor took a beer from the refrigerator. Thomas had started treating their home like his own. He was always saying he was looking for work, but there was no sign of any concrete activity. The phone rang. It was from Lily. Mom, can I stay over at Jessica's house tonight? Her voice sounded a little tense. What about your homework? I finished it all, Lily answered quickly. Too quickly. Are you sure everything's okay? If there's something bothering you, you can talk to me. Nothing's wrong. I just want to be with Jessica. Lily's voice rose slightly. Please. Eleanor sighed. All right, but be home by tomorrow evening. After hanging up, she noticed Thomas watching her. How's Lily? She seems down lately. I wonder if she has some troubles. Eleanor couldn't hide her discomfort. We'll worry about our family matters. Thomas's expression darkened at those words. Aren't I family too? Just as Eleanor was about to say something, the front door opened, and James came home. Hey everyone, Thomas, you're here. Been waiting with a beer? Thomas smiled at his brother. That night in bed, Eleanor consulted James about Lily. She's been acting strange lately. She's spending more time shut in her room, and her grades are dropping. James answered with a yawn. All teenagers are like that. Think back to when we were teenagers. But this is different. She seems afraid of something. You're exaggerating. James turned off the light. You're worrying too much. The next day, Lily returned home in the evening, as promised. However, she barely spoke and immediately secluded herself in her room. Eleanor knocked on her door, but the only response was, busy with homework. That weekend, as Eleanor was making coffee in the kitchen, Lily came hurrying down the stairs with her smartphone in hand. What's wrong? Eleanor asked. Nothing, Lily answered quickly, but her hand was trembling. There was some message displayed on her phone screen, but when Eleanor approached, Lily immediately darkened the screen. Lily, Eleanor said quietly, if there's a problem, you can talk to me. Lily seemed about to say something for a moment. However, the front door opened, and Thomas entered. Hey everyone, he called cheerfully. Beautiful morning, isn't it? Lily's expression froze. She immediately stood up and said, I'm going back to my room, then hurried up the stairs. Thomas watched her go, slightly frowning. Young people these days are difficult, he said, taking a coffee cup. I went through a phase like that too. Eleanor stared at Thomas's face. There was something unnatural about his expression. He was smiling, but his eyes weren't. Where's James? Thomas asked. He went to the site early. I see. Thomas looked around the kitchen. Just the two of us then. Something was different. Eleanor felt it instinctively. She stood up and said, I need to prepare for work. It's Saturday. Thomas said. You don't have work, do you? Eleanor was momentarily speechless. Well, but I have housework. As she was about to head for the stairs, Thomas grabbed her arm. Eleanor, the first need to talk to you. At that moment, Lily called from the top of the stairs. Mum. Thomas immediately released his hand. Eleanor turned toward her daughter. Lily's face was pale. What is it? Lily seemed to be searching for words. You said we could go shopping this weekend. Can we go today? Eleanor looked alternately at Thomas and her daughter. Something was happening. She still didn't know what it was, but something was definitely happening. Of course, she said. Get ready, and we'll leave in 30 minutes. Eleanor Harris entered the vast shopping mall parking lot on a Saturday afternoon. The parking lot was bustling with shoppers. It took her a little time to find an available space, but she eventually found the entrance to the underground parking garage. As she drove the car down into the dimly lit underground, she glanced at Lily in the rearview mirror. Her daughter kept checking her phone screen and seemed restless. Are you okay? Eleanor asked as she parked the car. Yes, Lily answered briefly. Her eyes were constantly moving, seeming to watch her surroundings. Once inside the mall, Lily seemed to regain some composure. They first had a light lunch at the food court, then went around looking at clothes. Eleanor helped her daughter select a new dress at her favorite boutique. For a moment, everything seemed normal, just their usual mother-daughter shopping day. However, Lily seemed frightened of something. She frequently checked her phone and looked around. When going to the bathroom, she asked Eleanor to come with her. This wasn't like her. Lily had always been independent, often claiming, I'm not a child anymore. Is there something worrying you? Eleanor asked while waiting outside the fitting room. I'm just a little tired, Lily answered through the curtain. Maybe pressure from school. Really? Eleanor pressed. You've been acting strange lately. Did something happen? Lily came out of the fitting room. The new dress suited her well. However, her expression was dark, and there was anxiety in her eyes. Mom, she started to say something, but at that moment her phone vibrated. Lily immediately checked the screen, and her face changed. Let's buy this and go home. Don't you want to see other stores? Eleanor was confused. We've been here less than 2 hours. Please, Mom, there was urgency in Lily's voice. I'm starting to feel sick. Eleanor reluctantly agreed. After purchasing the dress and a few other items, they headed for the mall exit. Lily was clutching the shopping bags with both arms, walking briskly. Lily, slow down. Eleanor tried to catch up with her daughter. What's the rush? Mom, I'm sorry, Lily said without looking back. I just want to get back to the car quickly. They descended the stairs to the underground parking garage. An unpleasant smell lingered in the concrete-walled space. The fluorescent lights were cold, occasionally flickering as they illuminated the rows of cars. The underground garage wasn't as crowded as the upper floors, and their footsteps echoed. Where did we park? Eleanor looked around. Over there, Lily pointed. Should be in section C. They moved forward, checking the parking signs as they went. Suddenly, Lily stopped. She tensed her body as if listening for something. What's wrong? Eleanor asked. Let's hurry to the car, Lily said in a low voice. Her voice was trembling. They walked further, turning a corner. Eleanor spotted her car. There it is. Lily walked even more quickly and rushed to the passenger side door. Eleanor approached more slowly from the other side, trying to unlock the driver's door. At that moment, Lily jumped into the car and shouted, Mom, turn off your phone right now. Eleanor was confused. What are you saying? Please turn off your phone. Lily's eyes were wide with fear. Hurry! Surprised by her daughter's desperation, Eleanor did as told. She took out her smartphone and held down the power button. The display showed shutting down, and the screen went dark. What's going on? Eleanor asked as she got into the car. Her heart was pounding. A tense silence filled the car. Lily's breathing was shallow and fast. She was looking toward the back seat and watching carefully out the window. Mom, look over there. Lily's voice was trembling. She pointed to the other side of the parking lot. Eleanor slowly shifted her gaze. At first, she couldn't see anything, just shadows of columns and cars in the dark parking lot. But as her eyes adjusted, she noticed a figure standing in the shadow of a parking column. Who is that? Eleanor squinted. At that moment, a nearby car started its engine, and its headlights illuminated the figure. Eleanor felt the blood drain from her face. It was Thomas. He was holding some kind of device in his hand and staring in their direction. Then he lowered his gaze to the device's screen, checked something, and made a motion as if pointing toward their car again. That's not Thomas, Eleanor said in a tone of disbelief. What is he doing? Tears were streaming down Lily's cheeks. He's gone crazy, Mum. He's been following us. Eleanor stared at her daughter. Now, all the pieces fit together. The changes in Lily's behavior, her avoiding going out, her not letting go of her smartphone. He's tracking our phones, Lily explained. If we don't turn them off, he can find us. What do you mean? Eleanor's voice was trembling. How long has this been? At that moment, Thomas began walking toward their car. His expression was dark, filled with determination. Mum, please, let's get out of here, Lily pleaded. He's trying to catch us. Eleanor came to her senses and hurriedly started the engine. Her hands were shaking, but she managed to turn the ignition key. The sound of the engine echoed in the underground parking garage. Thomas was approaching quickly. There was an unfamiliar expression on his face. It wasn't the face of a brother-in-law, but of a predator who had cornered his prey. Eleanor quickly locked the car doors. A clicking sound resonated inside. Thomas came even closer, now just a few meters from the car. Mom, hurry, Lily cried. Eleanor put the car in reverse and backed up quickly. Thomas stood in front of the car, gesturing for them to let him in. His eyes were glowing strangely. What are you doing? Eleanor shouted through the window. Move. Thomas pretended not to hear and lightly tapped on the windshield. Let's talk, he mouthed. Fear coursed through Eleanor's entire body. Her brother-in-law, whom she had never feared before, had now become a threat, cornering her and her daughter. She didn't fully understand the source of this fear, but one thing was clear: she had to protect her daughter. Mom, Lily's voice was thin and weak. Help. Eleanor's heart was pounding hard enough to break through her chest. She put the car in drive and suddenly turned the wheel, avoiding Thomas. She drove the car toward the exit. In the rearview mirror, she saw him running after them. His face was distorted with anger. Mom, hurry. Lily's voice trembled with fear. Eleanor rushed toward the parking garage exit. Her hands were shaking, and cold sweat beaded on her forehead. When the car burst from the darkness of the underground garage into the bright light outside, she finally let out a deep breath. Lily, are you okay? She looked at her daughter. Lily had her shoulders hunched, hugging herself with both arms. Her face was wet with tears. I'm sorry, Mum. I'm sorry. Eleanor parked the car behind a small shopping district, turning off the engine. She turned to Lily. What's happening? Will you tell me? Lily wiped her face with a handkerchief. She took several deep breaths and seemed to calm down a bit. Tell me what Uncle Thomas is doing, Eleanor asked gently. He's tracking us, Lily said. At first, I thought it was just casual coincidences, seeing him on my way home from school or him being at a cafe. But then he started sending messages to my social media. What kind of messages? At first, it was normal conversation. How are you? Or how's your studying going? Lily's voice grew quieter, but it quickly changed. He knew about my friends. He knew every place I'd been. He told me he was always watching you. Eleanor felt a chill down her spine. When did this start? About 2 months ago, Lily answered. After he got divorced, Uncle started becoming obsessed with us. I didn't think much of it at first. He's Dad's brother, but he installed a tracking app on my phone. When Dad asked him to fix an old computer, he must have found my password. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Eleanor took her daughter's hand. I didn't want to worry Dad. Sadness colored Lily's face. Uncle said family problems should be resolved within the family. He said, if you tell anyone, no one will believe you, and you'll hurt the family. Was he trying to access my phone too? Lily nodded. He told me, I need to know where Mom is at all times. He had a strange look in his eyes when he talked about you. Eleanor felt her chest tighten. She now understood the meaning of Thomas's strange attitude, unnatural smile, and recent pushy behavior. He had been monitoring her and her daughter. He had invaded their lives and violated their privacy. At that moment, a car suddenly stopped in front of them. Looking through the window, Eleanor saw Thomas's car parked sideways in front of them. He jumped out of his car and headed toward them. Mom! Lily screamed. Eleanor quickly started the engine and backed up. She turned the wheel and directed the car toward another road. Thomas ran alongside the car and banged on the window. We're family. Don't ignore me. His shouts could be heard inside the car. His expression was crazed, his eyes bloodshot, his face flushed red with anger. Eleanor accelerated the car. She avoided Thomas and drove out of the shopping district toward the main road. In the rearview mirror, she saw him returning to his car, but she increased her speed, trying to get away from him as quickly as possible. After putting enough distance between them, she parked the car at a highway service area. Her hands were still shaking. Lily was quietly crying beside her. "It's all right now." Eleanor hugged her daughter. "You're safe. He'll come after us," Lily said, trembling with fear. "You don't need to be afraid of him anymore," Eleanor said firmly. She reached for the dashboard and took out her phone. "I'm calling the police, but Dad, your father will understand," Eleanor said. She wasn't sure if that was true, but she needed to reassure her daughter now. "Your safety comes first." She turned on her phone. The screen lit up, and notifications immediately appeared one after another. Multiple missed calls and messages from James, and messages from unknown numbers too. Eleanor called the police. She calmly explained the situation. "My brother-in-law is stalking me and my daughter. He's tracking our phones, and he's still trying to follow us." After ending the call, she contacted James. His voice was full of confusion and worry. "Eleanor, where are you? I got a call from Thomas saying you guys might have some misunderstanding." "It's not a misunderstanding, James." Eleanor's voice was shaking. "Your brother has been stalking us. He installed a tracking app on Lily's phone and has been threatening her." There was silence on the other end of the phone. Well, couldn't it be a misunderstanding? Thomas might just be worried." "It's not a misunderstanding," Eleanor said strongly. "He chased us today too. He's not in his right mind, James. He needs help. But he's my brother." James's voice sounded weak. "And Lily is your daughter," Eleanor retorted. "She's trembling with fear. You have to choose now, your brother or your family." There was silence again. Eleanor squeezed Lily's hand. She smiled at her daughter and mouthed, "It's okay. Have you already contacted the police?" James finally asked. "Yes, I understand," he sighed. "Where are you? I'll come get you." Eleanor told him the location of the service area. "Be careful coming here. Thomas might have contacted you too." "I know." Determination could be heard in James's voice. "I won't be fooled by him anymore. I'll be right there." After hanging up, Eleanor finally relaxed her shoulders. She turned to Lily. "Your father is coming, and so are the police. It'll be all right now." Lily clung to her mother. "I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner." "It's okay." Eleanor stroked her daughter's hair. "You did nothing wrong. From now on, no matter what happens, talk to us. We're family. We'll get through this together." Eleanor gazed out the window, contemplating the difficulties ahead, rebuilding the family, reconstructing trust, and, above all, healing her daughter's emotional wounds. It wouldn't be an easy road, but she was certain of one thing: never again would she allow anyone to threaten her family. 6 months later, on a spring afternoon, Eleanor's car was driving under street trees budding with green. Outside the window, signs of spring filled the streets of Boston. In the passenger seat, Lily was looking at the scenery with a bright expression. "How was counseling?" Eleanor asked her daughter. "It was good," Lily smiled. "Doctor Lynn said I'm making considerable progress." Since that day, many things had changed. The police had detained Thomas in the parking lot, and numerous tracking apps, photos, and notes recording Eleanor and Lily's daily activities were found on his smartphone. The court issued a restraining order, and after a psychiatric evaluation, Thomas was diagnosed with severe delusional disorder. He is currently under supervised probation while receiving treatment. "There's a message from your father." Eleanor showed her smartphone. "He says he'll make dinner." Lily laughed softly. "It'll probably be burned." James initially struggled to accept his brother's actions. Eleanor's heart ached to see him regret that he should have prioritized family over brother. At the same time, she deeply regretted not paying enough attention to her daughter's changes. The family received professional counseling and learned the importance of open communication. James was also trying to gradually repair his relationship with Thomas. He had begun contact under professional guidance, maintaining appropriate distance. "Did you tell Dad?" Lily asked. "About college?" "Not yet," Eleanor smiled. "I thought we could talk about it together tonight." Lily had been accepted into an early admission program and planned to major in psychology. "I want to help people who have had experiences like mine," she had said. When they parked the car in the shopping mall parking lot, the two checked their shopping list. It was the same shopping mall as before, but this time, anticipation, not fear, enveloped them. "We avoided the underground parking garage," Eleanor said lightly. Lily rested her head on her mother's shoulder. "I'm not scared anymore. I think that day made us truly stronger in a meaningful way." Eleanor hugged her daughter. "Yes, true family means understanding each other in difficult times and supporting each other while maintaining appropriate boundaries." They entered the mall and walked in the bright light. Eleanor looked at her daughter and felt proud. Lily had overcome fear and grown stronger. She herself had grown as a mother and wife. The family bond had been tested but had ultimately become stronger than before. "Where should we start looking around?" Eleanor asked. "Anywhere is fine," Lily answered brightly. "We're not in a hurry, right?" Eleanor nodded. They now had plenty of time, peaceful time to spend as mother and daughter without being chased by fear. She took her daughter's hand and walked into the mall. The future was bright and full of hope.